So, to begin, we're gonna introduce with a little bit of the history of the 70s. The Arab-Israeli conflict and the final stage of the Vietnam War dominate most of the political life of the 1970s. The oil market is rocked by the provisions of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, which drags the countries to industrialize to a crisis and recession in the energy sector, and therefore to the entire industry and society. There is a blockage in the supply of oil, and now it's the producing nations that set the prices of the fuel. Like Apollo 13, who was the seventh manned mission in the NASA's Apollo program, and the third to land on the moon. The spacecraft took off from the John F. Kennedy Space Center on April 11, 1970, but the moon landing had to be aborted due to an explosion in an oxygen tank in the service module after 2 days of mission. Instead of landing, the crew circled the moon and returned safely on Earth on April 17. The mission commander was Jim Lovell, with Jack Swigert as command module pilot and Fred Haise as lunar module pilot. Swigert had replaced Ken Mattingly at the last minute, who was grounded as a result of being exposed to rubella. The 1970 FIFA World Cup Mexico was the 9th edition of Soccer World Cup. It was held in Mexico between May 31 and June 21. A total of 16 national teams participated in the final round, being gathered in 4 groups of 4 teams. Then the first 2 of each sector advanced to the quarterfinal round, from which there were direct elimination duels. It was the first World Cup where the yellow, which means warning, and red expulsion cards were implemented.
Seventies glamour in perhaps episode in the relationship between Micah and Jagger. The Britain's frontman on the Rolling Stones meets the Nicaraguan Borg. Bianca backstage and the concert in 1917. But 1971, the two were married, and their wedding ensured the status and fashion icons. Bianca wore a slight white Yves Saint Laurent tuxedo jacket and a Biascut skirt full leg, skip topped with a pilot hat. Mike wore 3-piece suit with a paisley shirt, and the rest fashion history.
Music, art, and main expositors. So this decade was so important in terms of creativity because of the new direction and that both music and art were taken since here. We could picture this era as like a bridge between the 60s with a more hype hippie and relaxed lifestyle and the 80s with a more happy and joyful lifestyle. And so in music, there were 4 main genres that were dominating the music industry, starting with disco, which had a high peak in this era because it was such a fun musical style that transmitted happiness, though it started to fall down in popularity once people started to notice the commercialization of this type of music, but still was so popular. Next we have progressive rock, which was another very famous genre because it combined both rock and another genre. It really allowed you to experiment between different sounds and combinations that you could make between styles of music, and it was very unique, so that's why it was very famous. Next we have punk rock, and with it a new wave of musicians that came because it was one of the main legacies that the 60s was leaving, and it was converted into this new genre with a lot of heavy guitar riffs and more upbeat and harder style. And last we have funk and soul, which was a new genre created of R&B, jazz, and soul music. It was mainly known for its crazy costume, outrageous personality, and often socially conscious lyrics. Next we have art, which was pretty much consistent of 2 main styles, minimalism and conceptual art. They were actually standing for some of the same ideas, and they were like kind of connected in this way. So it was like the main reason why it was so accepted in the art world at this time. Well, it was not really a style, it was more of a movement. It's the feminism, because it was like a very important decade to this movement, because women started to get more recognition for their work, and we actually have some of the key works from the 70s feminist art, starting with The Diner Party by Judy Chicago, which is this you can see here. Next we have Pink by Sheila LeBron, and another that was so important was Woman House, created by Judy Chicago and Miriam Shapiro. The first and last were actually performances that were situated in a museum, and it kind of recreated a lot of the main history moments in the feminism history, so it was so cool. And Pink by Sheila LeBron was more of a conceptual performance, not really like a experience, but it still was so cool.
May 29. The Drifting Concert on the University teachers and the students delivered to the State Congress on the Organic Law Project integrates the University Assembly on the supreme body of the authority of the university. September 2. High School number 9 Behind Work. September 12. Official inauguration of the new faculty on the Faculty of Mathematical Psychical Science. September 17. The new Chemical Science building with 21 classrooms is delivered.